All right, so this is how addictions, vices, anything that we get addicted to in the external world can become some form of desire, and it can really become a priority that actually makes us lack balance in our lives. If you don't believe me, just ask the crackhead down the corner that doesn't give a fuck about their mortgage or their cell phone bill, and they just want to get a lot of money so they can buy them some fucking crack. So why does that happen for the most part? Well, we gotta understand that people really get addicted to these things in the first place, and people don't know how to separate, how to let go of these things, because really in the totality, in the actuality, in the reality of things, we know this stuff doesn't actually make any sense. We know it doesn't actually take any type of priority in our lives, but we make it take priorities in our lives, like let's say drinking, or like let's say you just don't have enough money to support your vices and stuff like that, right? In general, you shouldn't even have that many vices, that many desires, because all these things just lead to a demise eventually. Now the 1%, the dominant culture, they got the money to support their vices, drinking, smoking weed, all that stuff. And there's nothing wrong with any of that stuff, but all that stuff got to be done with some type of like moderation, or unless you in the actual situation to actually do these things to the point that it's not actually crippling your life. Like I'm not talking about you're not neglecting your kids, you're not beating on your kids because you fucking drunk all the time. I'm talking about just don't let that shit overweigh the actual stuff that you have going on for real in your life. Because if you do let it do that to the point that that becomes like your sense of that becomes like your safe haven, your sanction for you to even feel comfortable or safe, you actually gotta do that. You gotta be in that hazy state of mind. That's how you know you might be kind of a little bit kind of like fucked up a little bit, because people just be overly indulging into shit that really don't got anything to do with nothing. Like for me, for example, like if I smoke weed, I only smoke weed on like vacations or some shit like that. Because other than that, I don't really need it or nothing. In fact, I don't need to smoke it at all. The only time I smoke it, I just maybe like on vacations and shit, or just like every once in a blue moon. Because I never really made it like a major part of my life. Like at the end of the day, where there was a time that I did do that, but at the end of the day, I pay mortgage on my house and shit like that, right? So it's like I gotta prioritize. Depending on your situation, you gotta prioritize what's actually important. Like if you're like me, you're paying mortgage in your house, you're helping your family and stuff like that. Well, I don't have like my own family, it's having like my parents and shit like that. Then you gotta really look at your life and what you're doing to actually make your life in balance, regardless if you want to blame some external circumstance or situation. Like, look, I can sit here blame my parents and be like, man, fuck my parents, because of them I can't smoke weed, or because I can't indulge my vices no more. Yeah, I can sit here and blame them, or I can like look at the glass like it's half full and be like, you know what, this is actually giving me a great opportunity to really you know reevaluate the importance of certain things in my life, right? And then from there, I started making different moves, and now I actually have more money saved up in my bank account just based on letting go on one thing. So it's like, and it's like instead of doing that, I started what? I started working out, because working out is a natural antidepressant and stuff like that. So scientists did this research where there's something called the hope molecule. So whenever you're working out, so you reduce the time and increase the tension of the workout. The muscular system is actually related to the ninth house, Sagittarius, of travel and stuff like that, because Sagittarius is always enthusiastic, optimistic, and stuff like that, kind of like Leo's. So that's literally a substance that has to do with that ninth house area. So whenever I go to the gym and I work out intensely, I'm releasing natural antidepressants to assist me in uplifting my mood and stuff like that. So I'm not saying everybody smokes weed to, because they depressed or whatever. That's not the case most of the times. Sometimes it just gives you access to like the seventh, eighth, ninth dimension. It gives you access to like, just shit that's not really on earth. Because all drugs really is just a gateway, right? Because your whole body is made of drugs. Like your whole body is a series of chemicals, neural networks. If you know how to harness these things, you can harness your elemental natures and use that shit to your advantage. But in today's society, we have a bunch of people that are letting elements harness them, right? We have a bunch of people that are letting the shadow government, the variables that they present, harness them. And a lot of the times they just be like distractions, to the point that the distraction actually becomes people's lives, where it's like people's lives only become about going to the bar. People's lives only become about, going and get some beer. People's lives will only become about these things. Like these are not the only forms of drugs. Like religion is a drug too, to the point that Jesus become someone's drug. Like it's just crazy. Like holy crap. Where it's like your savior is not just if your savior is an external place or thing, then you're already fucked, because you're supposed to be your savior. You're supposed to go inwardly and save yourself inwardly, because inside of you is you know, springs of everlasting life. And that's not like no made up shit. No, that's the fucking truth. Because if you go within, you'll find fulfillment within, you'll find purpose within, and all these things. So long as that we have people that are going outside of themselves to, you know, fulfill themselves, we're always gonna have a society that's pretty unbalanced. Because really, we can change the whole world if we really just change ourselves. The only reason the shadow government is able to rule and run people's lives, the only way this dialysis clinics open, because people's freaking livers and kidneys all fucked up. People, you know, have sugar problems that are shooting through the roof. It's because people have no discipline. People need these vices to even like feel like they're alive or some shit like that. You know how many people eat levels of sugar that don't even make sense? Okay, you can eat sugar, but at least balance it out. Work out. Get the sugar out of your blood so you don't develop like some fucking, I forgot what's it called, that condition where you know, have a lot of sugar in your diabetes. Yeah, all that stuff happens because people is unbalanced in their lives. Whether if people was just simply balanced in their life, they wouldn't even be experiencing any of these extremes, because all that stuff is based on going to an extreme polarity, being lost on a polar shift. And now you find yourself doing like strange stuff just for a peace of mind. Like when motherfuckers in America sometimes get their legs amputated because they're so fat they can't even get up and walk. They get like little machines and shit, like little carts and shit. And there ain't nothing wrong with it, but it's like, man, you gotta know where your vice, you gotta know where your desire, you gotta know where these things are taking. And if you're not managing it correctly, you're not really looking at your life as a totality, at what's really important, then man, I'm telling you, you're gonna fuck yourself up. Because I already did this shit in my life. So, real warning, man. Calculate your vices, calculate your desires. Don't let that shit overwhelm me. Don't make your life about that stuff. Man, most importantly above all, man, purpose. Go within. Because all your sources of fulfillment is within. You have everybody around you in your life right now going outside of them for some shit that's not even helping them in the long run. Some shit that's just catering to an emotion. Some shit that's catering to their desires and shit like that. Don't be one of those people. Desires is good. Emotions can be good. But to be high vibrational, you got to engage with your purpose. Not you go on some crack or some shit. Yeah, let me light that crack pipe. But again, man, you do whatever you want to. I'm just simply sharing my findings in life. Real stuff.